What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, two-time award-winning Dr. Vibe Show. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Also realize that once a month I host conversations for dads and fathers that is co-sponsored by DAD, Central Canada's National Fatherhood Organization, and Dove Men Care. And you know what? As I tell people, you can never do things alone. It's always good to do it with other people involved. And what two other better people to have involved in a lovely conversation on a Saturday evening? Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones. Ladies, how are things?
Good.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay. Better. Getting better. And as always, people are already jumping in live. So, hey, give the comments. You know, the ladies love the comments. I love the comments. It's all good. And they're going to drop some knowledge bombs as per usual when it comes down to things going on in America. That country. America. All right. It's all good. And I just want to say always a special shout out to both Aisha and Jill. Thank you for being persistent and coming out every week. I really, really appreciate it, and I don't take it for granted because I know you have your lives to lead. So I do not take it for granted for both of you to just take time. And other people now are coming to say, when are they coming on? When are they coming on? So you've lit some fire in some people. Yeah. So thank you so much for both of you being you, and also both of you being great mothers.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. That means a lot.
Yeah.
And thank you for always being, I mean, I don't know, you're on every day doing someone's podcast. So pretty amazing.
Well, you know what? I'm just in the servitude mode. And and it's wonderful that both of you have been doing this a while now. There's only one other conversation I did in the past that has been as continuous as this one. And God willing, we're going to continue it next year. You'll surpass, and you'll be my longest, most persistent and content creator.
That's good. I like that.
Definitely on the ladies' end, you are way above everybody. No worries. And you know what's actually interesting? Where I live in Canada, no ladies of color or ladies are doing this type of commentary on a weekly basis.
Really?
Wow.
That's wild.
Well, it's wild, but it's also what makes it so special.
I appreciate that.
So
I do too.
Definitely what you're doing, and that's why I always get excited about it, because it is so needed, so wanted, and so darn good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I just wanted to put that out there before we got started today. And people, show your love to them too, because they good. They good. They're good. And they're better than a lot of things going on in their country too.
It's been a lot, that's for sure.
Yes. But before we get into the conversation, I noticed a little bit of calmness. A little.
Yeah.
A little.
Yes.
A little bit of calmness.
It's a lot calmer. I was like organizing my closets today, so I'm calm enough to do that. I mean, there's still the whole dreaded Donald Trump stuff going on, but it looks like mainstream media has kind of backed off of his normal knee-jerk reactions. It's like, who is he? Oh, it's like he's already gone. I mean, I just heard the other day Thanksgiving address being given by President-elect Joe Biden, and I was like, okay, here we go. It was like Trump wasn't even there. It's kind of if they'd only done that months ago, but I know they wanted their ratings.
And Trump kind of helped it along by all but abandoning the job. By just kind of barricading himself in the White House, and Joe Biden being more upfront and out there doing things. It's kind of like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
All right. Well, we probably still will be talking about your president for a while. Well, I know in the first conversation, actually the first two, we're going to definitely be talking about it. So let's get the first
True.
conversation piece up. The transition team and Biden cabinet pit. So finally,
Yeah.
45 in his own indirect way said, yes, let the Biden team start doing the process along with my team.
It got ugly, though. I mean, you have to remember, like, we were down to the wire, and then once the Murphy girl had been subpoenaed to speak before Congress and she didn't show, I think Twitter almost had an aneurysm. I mean, like, everyone was like, what? No, bloody hell, no, this is not going to happen. And she was trying to push it to the following week. And I really have to give everybody props, like everybody who was just pounding away on Twitter and, calling their congressmen and women. And that was pretty powerful, because I really do believe that put some little fire under everybody, because, here we'd been like slogging through this whole fight for the last 4 years and giving our money to different politicians, and to see like Dems just sitting there and not like, really, she's not going to be held, in contempt of court or accountable. I mean, it was this whole thing with this administration where they weren't showing up to court and all of that. So finally she sent her little shady letter to Joe Biden and got her little digs in, showed just how petty she was. But yeah, you want to take it, Aisha, because you and I were both, like thinking kind of the same way that day, like, oh my God.
Yeah. It was a combination of just, she couldn't take the heat in the kitchen.
True.
The people were speaking to her. She didn't like that direct hit. And I have to say that the way that people dragged her on social media, it was just constant. People were constantly saying, release, sign the paper, sign the letter, sign the letter. It was constant pressure. And she kept mentioning that she wasn't bowing to the pressure. What I liked seeing, though, however, was the fact that she, in her letter, said that she wasn't bowing to the pressure. She tried to be shady in her letter, but then Donald Trump owned her by saying that he told her to sign the letter.
Yes.
I thought that was so funny, because in a way he kind of conceded, but didn't really concede there. So he wanted to make it seem like it was his idea, even though she basically just bowed to the pressure. And he said, oh, she was getting death threats and this and that. And
she was afraid of Katie Porter.
Right. That's what it was. Katie Porter and her whiteboard
would grill her. And we were all waiting for it. You could sell tickets to that.
That's what it was too. I think that's what it was too, because on social media, people were really, really waiting for her to go in front of Congress. I mean,
it was like Ali Frazier. Exactly. It felt like we were all like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's go.
Katie is going to do this.
And then if she did testify in front of Congress, she had nothing to protect her. There was nothing to protect her, because she had no excuse for doing what she did. There was no law to protect her. There were no legal reasons for why she was doing what she did that wasn't partisan and that wasn't political. And remember, her job was not a political job. Her job was a government job. Her position was a government position, not a political one. And so if she was withholding the letter for political reasons, they could have sanctioned her for something. So, and she'd have to answer to that in front of Congress.
And perjury, because she committed perjury the last time. And, I mean, is perjury a thing anymore? I mean, is it a big deal?
Not when it comes to this administration.
What an oxymoron. Perjury in politics?
Right, exactly.
Perjury in Trump.
It's true. It's just, I mean, I know I'm starting to go all the way back, but he's trying to bring back the when you shoot people?
The assassination, or like, for example, death penalty, when they what
is it called, Dr. Vibe?
It's got a specific name by
not court martial.
No.
I don't.
When someone's sentenced to death and then they have the firing squad.
That's it. It's the
by
firing squad.
Okay.
Yes, he wants to bring
Death
it
by firing
back
squad.
before he leaves.
Hold on. Who wants to bring it back?
Trump. Before he goes.
Before he leaves. Yeah.
What?
For the death penalty.
Mm-hmm. It's just cruel and just like what is this? You know, we first, you know, it's like what is that?
So these are all the things he wants to do before the transition is done. And the good thing, though, is that after this letter is signed, now it opens Biden up to the funding. And I was surprised. A lot of Americans don't know, and we really need to bring civics education back, just basic civics education, because a lot of people on the Democratic side, I was kind of disappointed, didn't understand. Well, I gave money for him to win. He won. Why is he still asking for money? Because federal funding comes with the transition team.
I know.
Transition. And because he couldn't get, he needed that letter to access the funding. Without it, he couldn't do anything. And I
don't think we've ever had this kind of a situation where we knew this much about that there's an actual job involved in this. I mean, I don't even, and you know, hell, it's been so long since even I couldn't remember this part of it. I was like, oh, okay, right. But yeah, it is a lot of money now that they need for that transition. We don't think about the basics, but with Trump, we learned it all now. We know how every damn thing seems should be working and is
because you hire an actual team. And remember, it's not just the transition of power. And the transition of...
I'm still trying to get by the firing squad. You guys can still go on. I'm still trying to get by the fire. So sorry to interrupt. Go on, please.
But it's not just the transition of power. We also have to remember that there's also the transition of the White House itself, right? Because by 12 noon on the 20th of January, the Trumps have to be out the White House and the Pences have to be out of the VP house, and the Kamala Harris has to be in the VP house, and the Bidens have to be in the White House, and that is an expense. They have to somebody has to organize
the logistics on that are a nightmare.
Yes, the logistics, and the people have to be paid to organize that. And that's part of the transition team funding. So they were holding up a lot of stuff with this. And so now that it's done, Biden can start to do his cabinet picks too, because his cabinet, they have to transition and work with the people who are in their positions now to see what's there, to see the mess that they're going to inherit.
That's true.
So there's a question, Black Beauty says, totally agree with the ladies regarding Emily Murphy. However, do you feel as though America should update GSA's role by giving GSA a deadline to administer funds in the future?
Yeah.
I think so, but at the same token, this is the first time that we've ever endured this, because typically the GSA acts as a government employee and not a political one.
True.
Typically, they respect their job as a government employee. Remember, she was a
loyalist, Trump loyalist.
Right. Remember, again, she was appointed to the job because of something she said to support Trump. Remember how he made all of his picks for these top positions because somewhere, somehow, he heard them say something that flattered him. Not because they
you could write him a letter and get a job. If
that's
you
how Bill Barr got his
write him
job.
A letter. Yeah, Bill Barr, write a love letter. And, hey, I could have been the full-time singer at the White House, just standing around singing. Because I love you, Mr. President. I've been like, ooh. Hey, everybody. Hey, Vlad. How you doing?
And that's not how, that's how everybody.
I was waiting for Joe to bring up Russia sometime. So I just said, I was gonna say this transition thing sounds like a deal-faded country, so she just got into it already. There we go.
Yeah, and I mean that's how most of his cabinet picks got their positions in the first place. They either gave him money, or they said something flattering about him on TV, or they wrote him a letter, or they
Had sex with
had,
him. I don't know.
yeah, something. It was something that made him feel good.
Oh, Jill's revving up. Jill's revving up.
There's
But
not.
that's the contrast with what Biden is doing. And that's one of the reasons that I have a problem with people like the Squad and some of these younger people. We don't know the mess that Trump is leaving us. Biden needs to put experienced people into these top positions, because this is no time for learning on the job.
No.
This is not a time for learning on the job. It would be different if there was a different administration that was leaving behind. If Biden had taken over the presidency from Obama, then he would be at an advantage to where he could put younger people in those positions. He cannot do that because we've had 4 years of people who were not qualified for the jobs that they took.
Absolutely.
Working in those positions and screwing up and not doing anything and grabbing all the money and all the power and just not totally screwing up. Look at what Betsy DeVos did with education. You can't put somebody who's relatively new. We can't put somebody who's 38 with only like 7 years of teaching experience in that position, never been a superintendent or run a state board of education or anything like that. We need somebody with real life experience who's been able to manage a state budget board of education, or a regional budget board of education. We need someone with a lot of experience. And because the transition period is 3 weeks late, I think I'm like AOC and a couple of people going after Biden's choice of Bill Klein for his chief of staff. Biden needs him. Biden needs somebody that already knows everything about this White House.
Yeah, it's true. And he also is strong enough to keep the strategy to push back with Biden as well. I mean, it's kind of like getting your basketball team back together. It's kind of like getting the band back together, and then the ones who can be there. I mean, some people weren't happy about Janet Yellen either, but you're looking at,
in my opinion, a good pick.
I agree. I mean, some friends of mine were like, yeah, but she kept raising interest rate after interest rate after interest rate, at some point, I guess before she left the Trump situation. But I was like, we don't even really know what was happening on the backside with the economy for her to keep doing that. It was like, because many people have said it was a false economy, and there was a lot of, it's not real. And, and then of course, COVID hit. So I think she's the perfect person. And then whoever her deputies will be, that's going to be really key too. But yeah, I mean, some people have, got upset about John Kerry. I was a little surprised, but I didn't know he was so interested in climate change. But then again, I was like, yeah, why not? Because I think your
president has in now.
But I agree, and I think that he is very well spoken in how to deal with this. Is a very huge issue that's going to require a lot of diplomacy and a lot of skill. And you can always find an advisor that you have who you respect, who knows more than you do. But to be able to take that information and then wrap it around where we're trying to position ourselves in this and to protect ourselves, John Kerry is the best because he can give a heads up for whatever is coming down the pipeline. And I think a lot of Biden's picks are people, like Aisha said, they have the experience. They also have the awareness to know when somebody's licking on their heels. And they've got a lot of tentacles in places with their old crew. It's like the old crew. Remember, what's that movie that
Ocean's 11?
Bruce Willis and all of them did, and they were older, John Malkovich. And it was like the old spies got back together and started fighting again.
I can't remember.
I know which
I
movie you're
think
talking
this
about.
is kind of like, don't underestimate,
Yeah.
the experience here. There's plenty of young people who will be involved that they're going to seek a lot of, information and
Yeah.
from their science and their research. And this is how you build careers. But like AOC and them, it doesn't just happen overnight, because we've now witnessed what it's like to have a businessman in the White
Right.
House. It's not, you can't run the country like a business. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not, that is not it. That's not
And
it, Chief.
what
That's
he's
a no for
doing,
me, dog.
but see, what he's doing is also he's setting these young people up to gain the experience they need to eventually get these positions by putting them on the advisory boards of
Absolutely.
these teams, like putting AOC on the climate change advisory board
Mm-hmm.
of his transition team, which will then become a permanent advisory
Totally.
board to his administration, sets her up to get the relationships with the different countries and entities
That's how
that
it
John
goes.
Kerry already has, puts her in a position for a cabinet position at another time, should she be offered it. The other thing too that I got is also, let's not, the Democratic Party gets on me this way, is that right now they're splitting down the middle without knowing the outcome of how this full cabinet's going to look. He's got he's got like 1,000+ appointments to make to fill this cabinet, and they're freaking out over what, 12 positions so far, and
Mm-hmm.
some are even starting rumors like this whole Rahm Emanuel bull.
Oh,
It's
it's
like
so right
the
now.
only the only person who's pitching Rahm Emanuel, from what I've learned from sources, is Rahm Emanuel.
Yes.
Rahm Emanuel put that story out about
Yeah.
Rahm Emanuel because he's interested
I
in
don't
a
think he would
position.
touch Rahm Emanuel. I
He would
just don't
never
think he
touch Rahm
would.
Emanuel because Rahm Emanuel left the Obama administration badly, pretty
But I
badly.
would also say that what's happening with this Democratic Party is that you have to remember this new crew kind of came in during the era of a Trump. And the problem with that is that all systems were not operating properly.
Right.
The way, the hierarchy, how the things go. This was like a ruse, like, it's like a red herring just came in the middle of, the Mad Hatter came to the party and it was not business as usual. So I really don't feel like the squad and those girls were given the proper attention that they needed to in
Right.
areas. I think they've been left a little bit dangling on their own because the Democratic Party itself has been waffling all over and freaking out for the last 4 years. I think if we can just pull it back together and figure out who we are. I mean, I had to tweet AOC the other day and I was like, look, if you want to keep trying this stuff out in the public forum, basically, I mean, it's tiring because at the end of the day, I'm okay with tweeting, but Trump brought that in too, which is now, I don't want to hear your damn work every day. This is your job. We put you in. Don't bombard me with a bunch of nonsense. And don't try to always put everything to public opinion and use that politically. This is your job. We just came out of this super stressful situation with Donald Trump. And I feel like nobody should go through it. I mentioned cortisol levels. People's cortisol has been high, depression, all of it. The politicians need to back off of this Twitter thing right now, and they need to stop it. It's a stupid, silly platform that could go away tomorrow, or depending. I'm sure it won't, but it's not. It's not. This cannot become the norm. I'm afraid it might, but on another level, I don't want to see it. We're paying you. You get paid a lot of freaking money to deal with the really minutia. Do I want to continually hear about you're upset because somebody did this? Work your backdoor deals. Work how you deal with stuff. But that's like, being a big tattletale every damn day. I don't need to hear it personally. These are grown people. They have jobs. When it's crucial or when you really fine, but it can't be every damn day because there's too many of them whining to their constituents. I
But
like
this
that
is
she's been going for, and I told her, I said, I like you, but this has got to stop. Go get us some money for the stimulus. And then she did actually. She got 200,000 for her constituents or people who are, hard up right now. And I thought that's commendable. That I do like about her. But yeah, a little bit of guidance on tempering this fanning the flames. I can't do it for another 4 years. I just can't. I don't think America can do that. There's going to be, the craziest thing the other day was looking at people readjusting their positions, like the activists in it. So you have Alyssa Milano, who all of a sudden is like, let's all be friends. I'm reaching out with an olive branch. And it's like, you start to see that these are battlegrounds and battle lines people draw because they actually have careers in this, and they're trying to make money, and they're trying to create and elevate their stuff. And they just shift. And sometimes being disingenuous is a real turnoff after a while when it's everybody's political. Then, I get it. The passion, true passion, you're upset, but you have a job, and some of it, I don't need to hear if you're mad at Nancy Pelosi. Deal with it.
So, and here's the thing. This is why Nancy Pelosi is so successful in getting things done, is that people piss her off every day. She doesn't always put it out there.
Right.
She goes behind the scenes and says to people, so what do you need for me to get what I want?
But that's like every corporation. Would I be sitting on my public, portal talking about my boss and it's like, after a while, there are some things that you raise and you broach them, but this fighting with everybody and they are supposed to have a standing because children are watching them.
And she also
time everybody, the children are watching, and we are raising this does impact. And now that we're clear out of the woods here with defense, we need to start looking around and looking at our children and how we want to be. You want them to sleep safely at night. You want them to not worry about it. So make sure your tweets are a little bit better, and more people will take you more seriously.
And AOC has a lot of power. I think she needs to better wield it than she does because, for example, she affects other races other than her own. She impacts other races. And those races, think about the losses that the Dems suffered in the House. Just an 8-seat margin compared to a 40-seat one that they had in the last election.
Yep. Why do you think that happened?
She was the primary target used as a battering ram against these other Dems that lost their seats, like Max Rose out of New York and Staten Island.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she has to be careful to not let herself be used that way. She has to control the narrative and how her image is being used. And she's not doing that when she goes off on these rants about, I hate this and this and this and this, and I hate this person and this person, because the media then says, there's infighting, and then AOC, and they always lead the infighting with AOC versus establishment Dems. It's never the new Dems versus the establishment Dems. It's always AOC versus the party.
Well, I think it happened when the squad decided to disrespect Nancy Pelosi publicly. Yeah. And, a couple years ago. And I think that those things, you've got to know your strategy. But she did cost us those seats. Yeah.
But now they don't really talk about the squad so much. It's always just her by herself. And when you're out on that limb by yourself, she keeps trying to bring people on that limb with her. But guess what? The media. The media keeps just pounding. It's just you. It's just you. You're one target. And the Republicans have picked up on that one target and use it.
Yeah.
She's a moneymaker for their campaigns.
That's true. She does make money. That's for sure. But the Dems are going to have to start acknowledging some of the younger people, and hopefully Joe will be able to, and Kamala will be able to smooth that through, because the party is changing. They have said that when we talk about the 80 million, this is when when what I'm about to say will make sense. So I'll wait.
But the party is changing, and I think that it will be reflected in some of Biden's other cabinet picks. I think
Who do you like that he picked so far?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
What's the black lady's name? They just forgot her name. She's got a hyphenated name.
Linda
Thompson.
Linda Thompson, and she
she was a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, I do think that Kerry was a good pick as an ambassador on this climate change because of his relationships. Got to remember, we also have a lot of relationships we've got to go back and smooth over. So it's going to take people that have had established relationships with our allies already and know the people that they need to know to say, look, we know that the last 4 years were bad, et cetera, but we give you our word. Joe Biden, you know what he's about. So you're going to have, he has to have people in certain positions who can smooth over those relationships. I think Joe Biden's going to be very strategic in terms of who he puts in his cabinet. I'm not going to be surprised to see Pete Buttigieg in a cabinet position.
You think so?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in a cabinet position. And the what is the Native American sister that he's putting in a position?
True.
I like that. I love that pick.
But Avril Haines was pretty cool for the NSA, for the intelligence, right?
Yes, yes.
National intelligence. And then there's the Cuban guy who in Homeland Security, who I thought he's a good choice. But you never know. It's like the dynamic is how they all get along and how everybody's interfacing and who's going to rub who the right way or the wrong way. It's going to be a hell of a lot better than Pompeo and all the ones that we have. Yeah. It's just, and I think what was interesting about, what is his name, is he's Cuban. For him to be in Homeland Security, I think he kind of brings shapes that gap that the DNC has with, Cuban Americans. Like they don't understand the party. Yeah. Being a Republican is more aspirational to them. I don't know, but I'm very, very excited. Yeah. And I can't wait to hear more from the people. And I think there will be some more surprising picks.
Yeah. And he's making the cabinet look like America, which is so good.
Yes. And I don't know, there was a Black woman who had a speech at the podium and she said that she said something about,
that was Linda.
Yeah. We're back.
We're back. And also, and Mr. Biden saying that his cabinet's going to reflect what America looks like. Yeah.
And he's doing a good job with those picks so far. And I think it's good the way that he's going about doing the picks in terms of, I'm going to take a section of government and each week I'm going to release those picks instead of just randomly saying, oh yeah, I picked this person. No, I have this section. This is security. Okay, this is about security. Here are my security picks.
I can't imagine who the progressives were upset about Anthony Blaine or Blinken. When part of our whole restructuring, in my opinion, requires us to get our intelligence back together and our military strong as far as what we were doing. I mean, let's be honest, like you said, nobody really knows what they're going to be walking into until they go in. And that's kind of like, you might have to take a whole wrecking ball to the whole thing. Right. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Joe Biden gets his first briefing on Monday.
Oh boy.
on Monday, he's going to know exactly what he's got to deal with.
Will they tell him everything?
He's going to get the same exact presidential briefing that Trump gets Monday morning.
All right.
The difference is that he'll actually read it.
No, I was about to say.
Well, let's move on to the next conversation, folks. The pardoning of Michael Flynn, a gentleman who lied to the vice president, lied to a number of government people, is now free. How?
Well, Well, we know it. We know the reason why. He's free. He's pardoned because obviously Trump is trying to save his own behind. It'll be interesting to see the other people who are pardoned, because they will all be about trying to save Trump from
So,
jail. From jail. But the thing about it is that now that Flynn is pardoned, he can't plead the fifth if he's
Right.
called. So he actually has to testify.
Right.
And so think about all of those cases and hearings and things that are going to come after January 20th. And, he's going to have to answer those questions. One of the first ones that'll come up will be charges in the Michael Cohen case, because they'll actually be able to charge him. You won't just be individual one. He'll be an unindicted co-conspirator. He'll be a co-conspirator.
And Robert Mueller is being interviewed in the next couple of days, I believe. I tweeted that. It's his first interview since Russia. Now, remember how they played him out to be like this doddering old fool, like with dementia and whatever? Yeah. Well, apparently, I don't think that's the thing. People should stop reading people just because they're quiet. You don't know what's going on, but he does have it's an interview, and I will find that information because it is coming up in the next couple of days, and it is about Russia.
Yeah.
You and your country.
I know.
Which I think this is going to get to what I'm definitely going to mention when we talk about the 80 million votes, but all of this is going to come back. The 2016 election is going to come back and bite him in the behind, and there are going to be some charges based on that. And I think what we're going to find in that is that there was some shady stuff going on in this election too, which is why Trump is now screaming out and questioning, I don't believe there were 80 million people who voted for Biden.
Which, there were.
Yeah. And so I think that this is only the beginning. I think I won't be surprised if he doesn't, I don't think he'll pardon himself, but I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he stepped down a couple of days early and let Mike Pence pardon him.
Well, they said that Mitch McConnell, there was an article today that Mitch McConnell was actually trying to negotiate on his behalf with the Biden administration to see what they can get. I think we spoke about that before, that's what all of this is. It's sort of like playing cards. I'm going to do this. If you really want me to stay quiet, I mean, it's probably some form of extortion again, which is why we have to vote in Georgia and get rid of Mitch McConnell. Has got to be made to take a seat at the children's table.
Yeah. And that's why Georgia is critical. Going to be so critical. Trump is supposed to go down to Georgia next week to campaign on behalf of Loeffler and the chicken guy.
Perdue.
Right. And also Biden is going to go and campaign on their behalf as well.
They better get those vegans out there voting, because they won't be voting for Perdue. That's all I can say. Fine, vegans, please. Vegetarians.
Yeah. So I think that the pardoning of Flynn again draws attention to how many people in Trump's administration have been convicted of a crime.
Well, is Carter Page, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Carter Page is now suing the FBI and the CIA or something for $70 million.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the concern a lot of people have is
So
this
they can sue, but I can't sue somebody, a church, for COVID. It's such a
is the concern though a lot of people have is this is going to be the first of a number of pardons.
Right. Snowden is also on that list of people that he wants to pardon.
Manafort?
It's what is their deal? He's made him really hang out to dry for a while. What is that?
Yeah. But I think that he's been waiting till he was in his lame duck.
Still, if I were Manafort, I'd be singing like a bird.
Aisha, you're correct. This is Black Beauty. Aisha, you're correct to Jill's point. Do you guys think 45's counting on Flynn being nefarious enough to lie on behalf of 45 if called to testify? I put nothing past 45, aka Diaper Don.
Diaper Don,
I think he would lie. I think they've all lied. I don't think they have any. We need to start throwing people in jail for lying if they're testifying. I mean, we really have to give them consequences.
But here's the thing. If Flynn lies after the pardon, then that he can be jailed for. Because the pardon only covers the period of the pardon and beyond and prior to. It doesn't cover anything after the date of the pardon.
And his son is still vulnerable too. So,
right.
you know, Flynn, it may not fare too well.
That's true. Flynn doesn't have to flip on Donald Sr. He can flip on Don Jr.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to our next conversation piece. Iran nuclear physics assassination that some feel involved Pompeo, Saudi, MBS, and Netanyahu. Before we go further, what is going? Pompeo is an interesting character.
Weird.
What do you think that, like, what's going on? Like, you know, the response he gave a few weeks ago, we're going to be back into it, like that. And is he, let me put it this way. If 45 doesn't run again,
yes.
will he run?
Yes.
But he's about as interesting as an old tired boot. But I think he's ambitious enough, and I think he feels like he has a little bit of power. Well, a lot.
He does have a lot
and
of power.
So yeah, he does, and he's using that power. He's acting out on behalf of whatever Trump is telling him to do. He's a henchman.
Yeah, but I think he thinks that this whole situation makes him look because, on the Republican side, they always believe that some act of war makes them look strong and tough and presidential. And so something that resembles this kind of situation is good for them, and it's good, and it bodes well with their supporters. I'm actually not going to be surprised if we see the Republican Party or the Republican candidates start to campaign early, like we saw in the Dems this last cycle start 2 years out. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing 2024 Republicans start making their bids in the
in
the spring of next year. I would not be surprised. No, I'm saying I would not be surprised only because they're all trying to get the jump on Donald Trump before he makes a decision to enter. Because if Donald Trump decides that he's going to run in 2024 and he announces it at some time next year, then none of them, all of their dreams are crushed. So I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see Pompeo, Nikki Haley,
Rubio,
Rubio, some of these other people just kind of by the spring, early summer of next year, kind of say that they're going to start running or announce exploratory committees because they want to get the jump on Trump. Because if Trump decides in April, he says he's going to run, none of those people are going to run because Trump has the party in his pocket.
No, Trump has his own party, not
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
right? He
Right,
has his own
exactly.
party. So let's circle back about this assassination. I did not, and I said to both the ladies before we came on live, I knew nothing about this till earlier, like later this afternoon. Earlier on this afternoon, I was at my dad's place, and he loves his American politics, and he was all over me. Do you think he did this one? Do you? I said, I know nothing about this.
Right. I mean, it's being rumored that that it was conspired by Netanyahu and Pompeo and
Maybe,
US, and we know that Pompeo just went and visited in Israel, and then he
yes,
went to Saudi,
yes,
and that kind of happened after the journalists too. So it's kind of it's
Mhm.
starting to look like a pattern that they don't trust somehow talking on the phone or sending emails or however they're doing it, but it does feel like
Yeah.
they went. And so far, of course, Israel is already putting out that the gentleman who was the head of this division, of their nuclear division, Mohammed Farzahad or something like that, that he that he that he was doing something private. And it was so funny because he was developing an entity, a group that they were, you know, developing their nuclear situation, Iran. And so looking at like on OANN and Newsmax to see those idiots that left Fox, which is funny, all commenting. And it's really funny. It's really sad to me how much hatred people have in their hearts towards Iran. I mean, I don't get it. People wanting things to be nuked and blown to bits. I would never wish that on anybody. I mean, we're all affected by this. And the fact that they still want to protect, I mean, it looks pretty obvious to me that they conspired this, and that there's an end goal to either create so much havoc before Biden comes in that he's going to have to deal with it. Nobody's saying that Iran is jumping up and down because Biden came in. In fact, some of the Iranian uh, clerics and things have said, like, Biden and Trump, it's all the same coin. And yeah, you can look by some of the cabinet appointments that it does look like we're maybe back to the militarization, how we were trying to police, but I don't think America is going to be policing the way it thought it was going to. I think that definitely Iran got their money back and everybody dragged poor Barack Obama for it forever. It was theirs. But we're talking about, Ta-Nehisi Coates said something very interesting, and I hope that the other day, that Trump was the first white president. And if you know what I mean, what I'm going to say, meaning he was the first white president that people actually voted for him because he was white. Big difference. Like, he's white, and we saw the gambit, the margins of the people and what we're dealing with in this country. So when you go to look for some humanity, don't go looking at OANN or Newsmax. You're not going to find it. You're going to find a lot of angry, horrible white people, and it's cringeworthy. They're just really hateful human beings. They really, really are. And if apparently this for this guy, the nuclear guy, was coming back from a holiday with his family. I don't know if they were in the car, if they were present, but he was, and they shot him coming back from vacation. So it does raise concerns about protections that people need in other countries. Even obviously we have a very hard history with Iran. But I do remember at one point we had a good relationship with Iran once when the Shah of Iran was in, and then the Ayatollahs and whatever. But it's like it's just horrific to me. But I also think that has something to do with what Trump wants to leave behind. And that's probably why, therefore, Trump has asked to maintain the same amount of Secret Service guys that he has now. He wants to keep the same for when he leaves. Right. So it kind of explains his maneuvers, because that was a few days before this hit. And it's quite possible but who would give Donald Trump the same amount of Secret Service men to guard him after he's no longer president? It's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
But he's going to need them. Remember, Iran has a bounty on his head. And I'm sure that it's probably more personal now than ever.
His goal is to just destabilize the region. That's why he's pulling troops out.
Right.
He knows that Joe Biden comes in. Joe Biden wants to renegotiate terms with Iran and just work with them. He's trying to destabilize the region because he wants to come back in 2024 and use that as his strategy, his campaign strategy, and come in and say, "I saved the day." That's all there is to it.
But he got rid of open skies, and open skies is very important because a lot of times the drones and different things are taking pictures, and there's things that capture so that so you're not totally, he never trusted our intelligence community. He wants everybody, we are virtually naked in the world.
Right.
And whatever his end goal is, I don't know. But maybe he's going to pardon Edward Snowden so he can move into his old digs. Maybe he wants his old place, because remember, Russia's been housing that dude forever.
Jill, when you writing your book on Russia?
Never. I studied Russian studies in school when I was young, and it was always a really fascinating, because partly for me, as the poets and the musicians were just incredible, phenomenal, hard, but a hard line of people that are built very differently than Americans, because they were originally and very strong.
Resilient.
Because they are resilient, because they are built like differently. And American people aren't. Not like that. Maybe Black folks are, because they've had enough adversity, and Hispanics and the natives. But regular white people who came from Britain and Scotland or whatever, no, they may not. Maybe the Scottish or the Irish, I don't know. But there's something about the mystique of Russia. It just has this. They're tough. They're just wired differently.
Okay.
And survival is key. They are no joke. By hook or crook, I think, was invented by them.
Well, isn't the hook part of their flag? That hook thing part of their flag? So
it is.
There you go. Well, this is our last conversation topic tonight, and this one, I think I know what Aisha's talking about, but I wanted to roll it out. So the 80 million vote question. Talk to us, Aisha.
Well, Trump seems to not believe that Biden got 80 million votes. So his his latest Twitter outburst is that, sure, Joe Biden can have the White House if he can prove that he got 80 million votes.
Right.
It got me to thinking, and I think it's got quite a few people to thinking. Somehow, I think that Trump may have cheated in this election too.
And there's nothing worse when you've done something, like when you're a kid and you've done something like the joke doesn't go off, right? And you're sitting there like going, what happened? What happened?
Exactly.
I rigged this thing, this bucket to fall.
He wasn't supposed. I was supposed to get more votes.
That's so wrong, Jill. That's so wrong.
He wasn't
true, though.
Exactly.
Like I rigged just fretting too much. She's right. He's fretting way too much.
Because he keeps doing these. It's like, how many recounts are we going to do in Georgia so he can lose like 3 times? And how many recounts in Pennsylvania?
In a minute, he's just going to come and go, he didn't get it because I rigged the thing. It should have been mine.
He can't seem to understand why in Pennsylvania, for example, he's trying to take the Pennsylvania count to the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, because he He's exhausted all the appeals. He does not understand why Pennsylvania is not coming out the way he believes it should come out.
Totally.
And that got me to thinking that he had to have rigged this thing.
It's like he rigged the brakes on someone's car and they figured it out before they drove it.
Exactly.
And just kept, and he's like going, oh, when are they? I rigged it.
because it's here's the thing.
Jill.
She's right though. I'm on with her. I'm on the same page.
It's this Pennsylvania question. He cannot get off Pennsylvania. That's the one he's pushed the most. He does not understand how he keeps losing Pennsylvania. And what's worse is that Joe Biden got 100 plus more votes. His last recount.
132. I know.
Okay. And so he really can't understand that. So it's like he rigged this thing for him to get maybe 10 million more votes than the last time. But he didn't expect Joe Biden to get 80 million.
Exactly. He thought the only person that would get more votes is him, not his opponent. Wow.
Exactly. Not Joe Biden. And so he's sitting there trying to figure
the guy who didn't have a rally. He didn't have a rally. He didn't do
didn't do this. He didn't do all the stuff that that was supposed to make this come out. And then on top of that, he flipped states he wasn't supposed to flip.
It's true.
That's the other part of it. He's like, how in the hell did he flip Georgia? He wasn't supposed to flip Georgia or Arizona. It's like, how did he do Nevada? How did he do this? And Trump can't figure it out. Trump cannot figure it out. And he rigged this. That's why he keeps saying it was 100% rigged.
But
why? It was rigged in reverse. It was 100%. It was 100% rigged. It was supposed to be rigged to help him. Remember, he always deflects. It was 100% rigged. What he didn't like was the fact that the rigging just didn't work.
But here's the thing. When a lot of people have said that with COVID happening, a lot of people migrated and they lost their jobs and they went to a lot of other states. And I was always wondering, like, how are they going to register to vote? And I was more concerned. And I think he played that gambit thinking it would work to his favor if he let LA go down in flames or whatever, or, anywhere else. And I think that they also said that what he didn't count on were the young people. And because they don't answer their phones for a phone bank.
Yeah.
And they also just registered in droves. And it's really crazy because they're predicting that if the Republicans don't get themselves together, because they got some problems on this too, that these states are going to flip anyway, because these younger generations have moved into these neighborhoods and they're purple, and they said it'll be about 2 or 3 election cycles have to go by. And the Republican Party may not really be much of a party.
Yeah.
It isn't much of one now, but just a bunch of lunatics.
Dude sabotaged the mail to stop the mail-in
He did it all.
They messed with the voting machines. Notice that there was not one complaint about a voting machine.
No, girl, I thought they were using that storyline from Scandal.
Yeah, there was not.
What was the town in Scandal where they were always talking about?
Defiance.
Yeah, Defiance, Dominion. Come on.
There was not one complaint about not being enough ballots. Notice the things that usually come up in every election did not come up this election in the in-person voting.
No,
there were none. There was none.
But they tried to chip away, and they're still chipping away with Rudy Giuliani. Still going to keep, they really ultimately want it. I know. They want it to go to the Supreme Court. And
Rudy working up a black sweat.
He definitely did. Oh, it was awful. I mean, he will get his day for that, but because he's going to just keep appealing. But here's the sad thing: the amount of money that people have thrown, and now somebody's suing him, a pro-Trump group, for not winning the states. What's this lawsuit is like? A guy is suing one of the pro-Trump donors. He's suing because
They didn't
they're
read the
trying.
fine print.
They didn't. Yeah.
The fine print says that seven what was it, 70 cents out of every dollar spent
Goes to him.
will go to Trump to use as he sees fit.
Right. I remember what's her face from the RNC, Romney. She said that she made the speech. They must have not heard that.
Well, so here we go. Black Beauty again. LMBO about the possibility that 45 did rig it, and it backfired on them. She got smiley face icons.
And it's like, and here's the other thing too, is like, this man, he doesn't want to win. I mean, it's like winning is not in his blood. Because if he wanted to win, why would you send Rudy Giuliani out to defend you? And Rudy keeps going to court just enough. First of all, you send him out to do this. You send him out to do this press conference at the Four Seasons, and it ends up being the Four Seasons tire and something thing.
Total landscaping company.
Right. Landscaping company. So here he is in front of this landscaping company's outside because he didn't book the actual Four Seasons hotel. Right. So then he goes and he does this horrible press conference where he's like leaking
until you didn't it's our fault we did you went
black dye. He's using the black dye, right? And
it looked like somebody had put some oil, like this oil was just coming down.
I said this was the devil coming out of him, because even the devil said, I can't be here. Okay, this is too much for me.
I thought it was like the Tin Man where they're like
slide some oil to me.
Let me put a comment on this. You guys are getting ridiculous. 45.
Wait,
I'm going to stop it because you're getting worse. Stop it.
But no, I gotta say this. And then he goes in front of a judge and tells the judge, I want you to judge on what you normally judge on. And the judge is like, well, what do you want me to judge on? What you normally do. I need evidence. He goes with no evidence, and then he says the evidence. He gives all this hearsay, and I heard this from my sister's cousin's best friend's daughter's son's little brother.
But he would never claim fraud in the court of law because there's some responsibility. But you also look at even that Sydney Thompson or Sydney, whatever her name is, even her filings have spell check errors. I don't know what courts are allowing these people to submit these documents. It's like,
and they distance themselves away from
but our court system's messed up.
45 did not count on the will of the American people, especially Black people. And in the midst of a pandemic, he underestimated us. Thank God. So 45 is forever.
Oh no. But here's the thing. Another group that nobody really, they've been counting now, Asians actually. They actually did see a noticeable, like more than ever, they voted the most in this election. So nobody was even factoring Asian people. And they always assumed they'd just go Republican. And they didn't. And also, let's not forget, some of these people are Republicans, but they voted for Biden. Yeah. See, it had nothing to even do with it just was like why it's so high and it's going to keep going because Trump, people in your own party went, the hell with this. I've had enough. So they voted Democrat. And that's how it went.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm like James Carville. You know what? Count it up again so he can lose again.
I know.
Keep counting. How many different times do you want to lose? And it just kills me on Twitter. He's like, because we all know I won. No, you did not win. You did not win.
Is this a reversal of what happened in 2016?
A reversal of fortune.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that happened because
it just
Hillary got more of the popular vote.
And she should have done what he did, and if she had, everybody would have been like dragging her. Let's be honest, she could have done that, but she had enough dignity and grace about herself to hold the position in such high regard. Trump, it's like he feels nothing for this position. This position is beneath him. He's only talked horrible about the White House, and it's beneath him. Dude, bye.
And
See ya,
that he
bye.
didn't have to do this job. It's like
Exactly. And
nobody
nobody
begged you to
wasn't.
take it.
He wasn't
Nobody
doing a
begged you to
job.
take it.
It's so amazing to know that he has no work ethic. He's just a big bully. And they go around and there's other people who are actually flogging and doing the work and the negotiations, but he has no work ethic. I don't even think he knows how his own companies run at this point. I honestly don't.
But I've never seen anyone try so hard to keep a job they're not doing.
Because the job, the real job is about laundering money and how to, it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. So that's all he's doing. And I think that's all he's ever done his whole life.
Yeah, and let's not forget that 400 million comes due.
Aisha, your girl's waiting. You know what I'm talking about.
Who? Candace Owens?
No. Your girl is waiting to just for the 21st of January.
Tish James. Tish is ready. She's ready. Tish is just waiting.
She's not saying a thing. That's dangerous if I'm 45. That's dangerous.
But it is very interesting that they're doing this. The Washington Examiner is doing this 2-part podcast with Mueller, because there's something about what remember the SDNY and him, there were, they worked a little bit on that together. So I'm not saying he's conspiring anything, but I think the FBI and all those people who have been harangued for the past 4 years are really, they need to take care of this. They need to get their respect
Washington Examiner
back.
is doing is interesting because Washington Examiner is very far right.
Yes.
Interesting.
So question, ladies. If 45 pardons himself, does that make him clear of getting charges in New York?
I don't think so. I wouldn't think so, but I could be wrong.
Only federal charges. The state of New York will still apply.
Okay.
Only the federal charges, like the SDNY charges. He will be. They won't be able to charge him with those because those are for the federal court. But Tish James, all her charges will stand.
Right.
Okay. All right. I just want to know.
Is he going to let those Russian guys out?
Well, see, this is the thing, because from what I've been reading,
the two Shreks,
people, another one of Juice Man's friends, that if they think that the alleged mind of 45 is going to pardon everyone that's involved in was involved in the Russian investigation, so basically to wipe it off the books, the history books.
I don't think so. I think you got to remember, because Lev Parnas was talking out against Trump and started revealing stuff. He's not going to get a pardon. Anyone who wasn't loyal to Trump during those Mueller days is not going to get a pardon. Okay. Anyone who wasn't loyal, only people who stayed loyal.
All right.
I don't know. I'm like wondering if he does give. Where are they now? Like they're in jail, right?
No, they're out on bond.
They're out on bond. So, yeah, I don't know what he's going to do. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But he's got Lindsey and all those guys they're trying to make a deal with the Biden team. But I really hope they don't, because I think that it's time in this country that if you do the crime, you got to do the time. And not just for civilians and regular people. I think we really are going to have to make an example out of somebody from that, because look, Carter Page has come out and he's suing the FBI for 70 million. It's like the audacity. Like, are you kidding me? You were taking information, taking a dog's bone, met with the Russians in, where was it, Turkey? I mean, come on, this is too much. People are really emboldened, and some of these little, fast class men need to be taught, because they're little they've got their mommies and their daddies who've been big donors to a lot of these people.
Yeah.
And I think that somebody has to do something and pay the crime.
I think that Biden is going to put the right person in charge of the DOJ who will go after Trump and all these people. I think he will, because if Joe Biden decides he's going to go after Trump, or he's going to tell his DOJ
Could he put
to go
Valerie
after Trump,
Jarrett in, or would she not want that job?
She doesn't want to do it. She already said on an interview, I saw that. But if he were to say, I'm going to tell my DOJ to go after Trump, he's no better than Trump. He's got to have a DOJ person that is going to do it independently.
And we have to bring respect back to the positions, because it's just, that's the truth.
I think also too, a lot of the government organizations, the employees are demoralized. So that they need leadership to bring up the general environment. It
morale.
Morale, because it seems that the morale's at an all-time low right now.
Yeah.
Oh, are you kidding? Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think with even the Department of Education cabinet person, it doesn't look like it's going to go the charter school direction. It looks like it's becoming, and that's okay. Things evolve and they change. And I think that was kind of an interesting, not to get back to the cabinet thing, but that was interesting to me because Obama was more charter, pro this, pro that. But I think that it looks like Biden is open to, you got to go with the times that you're in too. So, but I do hope whoever's in the DOJ.
And here's the thing, that person won't necessarily tell us that they're doing it. They will assign a team that they will tell that team, this is your job to do this. And it'll be good for us to not know that they're going after them until one day we just see in the news, breaking news, Donald Trump, this and this.
And the reason I think it has to be done is because if they don't do it, then it'll be conspiracy theory for the rest of our lives in this nation. And I think that it's really important that we at least put down the narrative. It's really important. It's like, I remember the Nixon whole Watergate thing when I was a child, and it was like, whatever, but you need to draw a line in the sand. You can't let it just stay out there willy-nilly. And, as it was today with the poor Zappos guy who passed away. All I saw today was Hillary Clinton killed him too. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Sad guy died in a fire. And
last question,
it's just
conversation brought by Black Beauty. Ladies, is 45 going to be able to pull himself together well enough to get through the inauguration?
No, I hope he's not there because he doesn't wear a mask and he doesn't respect. No, he shouldn't even be there.
He won't go. Remember, he doesn't like to be anywhere else that the former presidents are, because he doesn't feel a part of.
No, he's not good like that. Remember when he was in Europe and they were at the G7 or the G1 and he pushed his way through? Remember? It was on film. You see him actually come from behind and push out the French leader of their country. He has no respect, and he doesn't do well in crowds unless he's the main attraction, which is why he had such horribly weak, disgusting friends. Like they're all a little bit beneath him. Like you'd go, wow, this guy is a billionaire. He could be in a circle of whoever. But there was something wrong. There's always something wrong when you're sort of like scumming the curb. Like Rudy Giuliani is like slumming, like, scrimming the curb. Lev Parnas, all of that. What is that? That's somebody with low self-esteem.
But we've seen Trump with the other former presidents before, and he always looks like he doesn't fit in. He always looks uncomfortable.
No, I know. Remember and Angela Merkel, he tried to become very authoritarian with her.
But remember, they also get along. The other ones get along. Remember when?
No, actually, I think he brought them closer. I really do. I don't even know if they were even that.
Yeah.
Because all I know is then at some point, even Boris Johnson, all of them were just like giggling like schoolgirls about him.
But remember when HW died, and they were all at the funeral, and how awkward Donald Trump looked. And
was he there?
And Yeah, he was there.
Oh, yeah.
And how uneasy she seemed around the other ones who seemed very comfortable around
Passing
each
candy
other.
around,
And then
chiclets.
they did a picture together, and Trump did not take a picture with them.
That's true. Because he always has to be so special.
He has to be
so
so
precious.
special, but he also does not feel part of that brotherhood of, that elite group of people who would only know, what it's like to be president. So I think that he won't show up to the inauguration.
I hope not.
All right. Well, on that note, ladies, another epic conversation. Staggers State of Things with the Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones, as usual. Boop, 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 dropping knowledge bombs. Boop, 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 dropping knowledge bombs. They do it all the time. They do it on a weekly basis. Make sure you follow them. So first things first, Ms. Jones, where can people find you out?
You can find me at Jill D. Jones on Twitter. And then I have Instagram, which is Jill Jones Music, and then Facebook is Jill Jones Music, the page. But pretty much Jill D. Jones on Twitter for political stuff is definitely there. But if you want the fun stuff, then go to Instagram.
All right. Aisha K. Staggers.
You can find me at capital AISHA, capital STAGGERS, Aisha Staggers at Twitter. And my Instagram is AK Staggers. So.
All right. Wonderful. And like to thank everybody who watched this live on the replay or listened to it on the replay. Big shout out to Black Beauty, who was dropping comments. Excellent comments tonight on the conversation. I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of really, I'm a 3-time award winner, not a 2-time award winner. I'm a 2-time award winner with the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And back in like 2012 or 2013, I got the best international blog at the Black Web Blog Awards. So I'm a 3-timer in a good way, not any other way. All right. So if you want to find out more about me, you can find the best place to go is my website, thedrvibeshow.com. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. This is the home of Epic Conversations. Multiple award winner, also host of monthly conversations for fathers and dads that are co-sponsored by Dad Central and Dove Men Care. As always, I like to leave my conversation with this: live your life like a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider, and especially these days, remember to give yourselves grace. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. And as we say in Jamaica, walk good. Bye, everybody.